You can turbocharge your YouTube experience by becoming a subscriber to the Audrain Museum Network. Do it right now and you might be as fast as this Porsche. As an all-new car, the Porsche designers really did their job to make it look as if it were the very close relation of the original 901 911. Considering that the Porsche factory intended to replace the 911 with the 928, they realized when that was not going to happen, they had to do something to bring the 911 into the modern age in a thoroughly convincing way. I think at this point they succeeded. This is a car that definitely looks like a 911, even though it's not at all a 901 in any respect. New eras don't always come easily. And the car I'm driving today, which is a 2003 Porsche 996 Turbo, marked the first break from the original 901, and in my personal opinion, I think that Porsche could have stepped out on a limb and actually given it a new number. This is a completely new car that has nothing in common with the 911s that preceded it, but nonetheless, tradition is what it is, and after all, if they're still calling vastly different cars Toyota Corollas, why not the 911 staying the 911 forever? But this car is a very interesting car as well, because as the first turbo in the new 911, it aimed to be a much more user-friendly car than the Widowmaker 930 had proven to be. And Porsche obviously got the brief correct, because this doesn't have that kind of fearsome reputation. That's not to say it's not a very capable and fearsome performance car. I actually had the opportunity to drive this on the track a few years ago in an Audrain Motorsport track day at Thompson Raceway in Connecticut, and it was very interesting for me because I'd never driven a modern Porsche on a track. And what was really interesting was the fact that I learned something, which I probably should have known before, but nonetheless, here I am, I'm human, I'm admitting this, about weight transfer, which I don't really think about a lot in a rear-wheel drive, rear-engine car. But I just couldn't get the sequence right from the front straight into turn one at Thompson, and my instructor was absolutely excellent. Just reminded me of two things: to maintain my speed as high as I could on the main straight and brake much later than I thought I wanted to. And that really planted a lot of weight over the front wheels and allowed me to have a really sharp and determined turn-in. I thought, wow, that's astonishing, because I wouldn't have thought about doing that because I didn't think it would make that much of a difference. But it does, and that's also a great testament to the chassis tuning of the Porsche 996, because it has that ability as a rear-engined turbo car to be steered on the throttle with the front end. I thought, wow, this is quite amazing. Now, this particular car is one that also has an option on it. The standard turbo in this model year put out 415 horsepower. This one's got a turbo, factory turbo upgrade to 450 horsepower, as well as an additional aero kit to provide a little more stability in using that extra power. And this example also happens to have aftermarket wheels, but that's not obviously part of the factory package. But it's a car that is really easy to drive, and when you compare it to the current 911s, it feels so much lighter. I mean, it is. I don't know the actual weight of this car versus the new ones, but it certainly has a much lighter feel. There still is that stiffness in the suspension that on a bumpy road like this, when you get into a curve, you get that slight loss of adhesion. Nothing, again, that's too concerning because it can be easily controlled. The chassis is that predictable, which is very funny because saying predictable and Porsche Turbo were words that were not generally used with the 930, that's for sure. These things do love to rev, and when you get it up high in the rev band, it really makes a lovely noise, even for a turbocharged car. And there's a responsiveness that you don't expect in a turbo car of this age, but it's right there with you. And again, I'm going to come through this turn over this bridge that I absolutely love here. It's not too bad, just stepped out a little. Compared to the current cars, the shifter feels rather stiff but very mechanical, which is the very satisfying way. The throw is a lot longer than it is in the modern 6-speed gearboxes that Porsche has. But this is a really, really fun car. Even if I'm not on the racetrack right now, it's very entertaining. And the other thing I like about this is the fact that the sound level is really terrific. The engine is very present. I'm in a low gear, so it's revving pretty well, and it gives me that wonderful warm sound. And that was one of the other things that people had to get used to. That very unique sound of the air-cooled flat 6 was gone, and now there was a new sound. The other thing, of course, people had great objections to when the 996 was introduced was the commonality of its parts with the Boxster. And people, some people, felt, why should I pay all that extra money when the car looks so much like the cheaper entry version level? Well, I happen to like the way this looks. This has got the so-called fried egg headlights, which I think are really neat. And like everything else, people get used to things, and then with retrospect, it seems, oh wow, the good old days. This is a terrific car, and it's wonderful to think of a turbo Porsche that's usable every day on the street. Fantastic. Even if they didn't call it a 996, which they should have.